All right, welcome to the franchise time machine. Yes, it is almost creator roster time. So, normally we kick off any of the community games with a test run that I do, but I wanted to understand the new player creation engine a little bit better. And I say new, but it's the engine itself I don't think has changed. Maybe some of the settings or the distributions that it's generating have changed, but it's not like it's new to the game. But it is definitely cranking out different types of profiles than we've seen, um, at least in late OOTP25. The pitching profiles, for example, look a lot more like what EVC and NYC2 had during his record-setting run. The other thing is the performance doesn't seem to be that much lower. It's just that the profiles look different. So none of this is to say these pitchers or players at various levels are going to perform worse. It's just that they look different. So I did a test number 0 in Creator Roster just to see kind of where we're at, and the profiles definitely look different. I also thought they looked a little weaker, and thought, this is maybe like a 120 win team. We did still win 140 some games. So I do think the performance is there. It's just the profiles look different and maybe a little harsher than in OGP25. And Smiley Face Jane and others had also noted that the fielding ratings look tougher too. Like the grading is a little harder, maybe on the fielders, but their performance is still good. So a 55 might still play like a 65 in OTP 25. I just think the 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 simulation engine or the creation engine just isn't doling out high ratings as much as they were before, but the performance is still as good. But that would imply a difference between the translation between from ratings to performance. But just from a pure ratings perspective, my roster from test 0 did not look like a 140 win team, but it did win 140 some games. So I think there's a lot of recalibration that we have to do ourselves too between the ratings and the performance. Now tonight we're not going to be able to test the performance. We're just gonna look at the ratings and the distributions that we're getting. There's zero there's zero to be learned about how that will translate into performance tonight, because we're not going to run those players. We're just going to look to see what the generation is. Yeah, Regin, even if you think the performance is higher, I'm not willing to commit to a statement like that based on one test run. So I think I'm going to do some more experimentation. I'm going to let the creator roster. I'm going to let folks start playing once I do my test run. But I think there's still a lot to learn about how the ratings translate to performance in OOTP26. And I just haven't seen enough data points to make a statement one way or another. Other than we have seen enough to say the fielding ratings are lower, but it does not seem to be translating to worse fielding. It's just like it's just the rating calculation seems to be a little bit tougher. So we're not seeing as many 75, 80 defenders, but the ones we are getting, even though they're rated lower, some of them are cranking out some really high zone ratings and stuff when we look at the fielding ratings. But again, we're going to do some 1620 game experiments to see what those look like. And even 1620, that's a pretty small sample size. In fact, I might see if it breaks the game if we go to 16,000 and 200. That actually would be an interesting experiment. We've already done it with 1620. Let's see how. I think it'd be 10 times longer to simulate. I think we can still do it in a stream. I don't see that being a problem. We're simming a year at a time, and it's manageable. So, all right. So let's do the pack giveaway form first. I don't know what pack giveaway form to pull from though. This is a completely different kind of uh, sim, or it's not even a sim. It's a completely different kind of pack giveaway. I'll just take the most recent one, and then we'll adjust accordingly. Let me update the title, and then I'll put it in the chat. Okay. And tonight's stream, we will be generating fictional players in batches of 8,000. Enough to enough for analysis, but small enough of a sample to export via CSV. I will collect the exported data in Google Sheets, and we will use pivot tables to answer the pack giveaway questions. Okay, correct answer wins. This is the same as usual. This let me clarify this here. The first set of questions are survivor style. If there are any ties, we will switch. I don't know what the alternative to survival style is. We will. And the contestant who is closest to the answer for the most questions will win the tiebreaker. And then if still tied after final questions, we'll split the remaining packs equally. not be running a simulation tonight. But in case the game setup impacts player generation, these are the settings. This is not the important part tonight. Tonight, this is the important part. Okay, so what are the questions going to be? I've already started building one of the pivot tables, so I'm starting to get a decent sense of like what questions might be. So for starting pictures, what percentage of legend level? Oh, no. These are supposed to be... these are yes-no questions. Okay. Will any of the 8,000 legend level pictures will have a star rating of 3.0 or lower? That's yes or no. Will any of the star level starting pictures you know what? Let's switch this. Scrub level. Will legend level closers okay, hold on. Of the 8,000 legend level closers, or no. Will the percentage of legend level closers will be higher than the percentage of 5.0 legend level relief pictures? Then let's ask that same thing at star level. No, good level. Let's lower this to 4.0 or higher. And then scrub level. And let's make this 2.0. And then for legend, let's say good level, shortstops and second baseman. Will the percentage of shortstops with second base ratings be higher than the percentage of second basemen with shortstop ratings? All right, now let's ask some numerical questions. What percentage of legend level SPs will throw left-handed? Oh, let me add here. This is the last question in the Survivor portion or Survivor section. Okay, what percentage of legend level starting pitcher will throw left-handed? What percentage of good level SPs what percentage of star level closers will throw left-handed? And what percentage of star level relief pitchers will throw left-handed? Let's see. What percentage of, or how many legend level center fielders, center field defense, 80 or higher? Out of 8,000. What percentage the legend level shortstops? What will be the lowest center field defense for let's say good level center fielders. So that's the same question for, and again, that's out of and it will be the lowest right field defensive rating for good level right fielders. And what will be the lowest left field we're gonna look pretty deeply at outfielders today. What percentage of legend level center fielders will have right field defense ratings? And what percent will have left field? Oh, I have to change the question format on these. These all have to be short answer. What will be the average mean power rating for legend level shortstops? Second baseman. Third baseman. And first baseman. Oh, let's change. I want to change this to move it up into the earlier section. Which of the infield positions will have the highest average mean power rating Okay, so who's going to be the highest? First base, second base. I'm just going to go around the horn. Third base, shortstop. Ooh. I mean, is catcher technically part of the infield? And then which will have the lowest? This will be interesting. Will the difference between the highest and lowest average mean power rating for legend level infield positions be 10% or greater? Okay, so basically, which infield position is going to have the most power? Which is going to have the lowest power? And will that difference be 10% or more? And then, will any of the legend level starting pitchers have a star rating of 3 or lower? Will any scrub level starting pitchers have a star rating of, let's make this 2 or higher? And then, will the percentage of 5.0 star legend level close be higher than the percentage of 5.0 star legend level relief pitchers? Yes, closer higher. No. Relief pitcher higher percentage. Will the percentage of 4.0 or higher good level be higher than a 4.0 star? We could do that. Yeah, that's a simpler way to say it. Yeah. This has to be legend level. And let's just delete this. Okay, and then this, I might have to lower this to 1. 1.5 maybe? I don't know. We may get 0 here. If it's a tie with 0, then everyone will advance. So that replaces this question. Okay, so this gets deleted. This gets deleted. This gets deleted. We'll have stuff of 70 or greater. What percentage level will have stuff of 50 or lower? And then control. Okay, I think that's good for now. Let me put the form up. There's a bunch of questions, so I'll give everyone a bit of time to answer. So basically just asking everyone to guess what some of the distributions of the talent will be by level. If I gave it more thought, I could probably come up with better questions, but I want to get to the player generation and building up the pivot tables and stuff. Okay, link to form for tonight's 10-pack giveaway. Good luck, everybody. All right, so let's see. A couple of things I can do while people guess. I could do an ad roll, which we'll do in a little bit. I think I have a draft I need to do. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, I'm running out of time too. It's West Coast, Best Coast. It fires in 20 minutes. And I have to do 2 of those. All right, so we'll speed draft those, and then we'll close the form. And if it's just Rev Junior, it'll be pretty easy. Rev Junior will just win by default. The fewest number of people we've ever had was towards the end of OTP 25, and we had 2 people. It was like end of the cycle. The new game was just about to come out, and it was like a Saturday, like tonight, or a Monday, where Ezra doesn't stream before us, and yeah, we had I think 2 people in the. We had more people in the chat. There are actually people chatting, and there are a lot more people supposedly in the stream. But we always have a lot of AFK people collecting their drops, which is fine. That's part of why I started streaming at night, to give people a chance to get their drops if they miss it during the day. But yeah, 2 people was our lowest so far. All right, so let's let me fire up this draft. 2 of the same draft, West Coast, Best Coast. It is a different era, so I'll need to make some era adjustments. Let's see, 1958. If I recall, power is not going to be down, but strikeouts are going to be down. I might be wrong, though. Let me check BREF, and we will confirm. For those of you who don't know, I guess I'll show you how to do that. Let me pull up BREF. Okay, so you just go to this Baseball Reference Major League year by year batting, and you just highlight 2010, which is the default for modern, and then you highlight the other year you're looking for, which is 1958, and then you go show only selected rows, and it'll show these two side by side. So yeah, power's only down slightly. Basically 4 percentage points. Not a big difference, but strikeouts are way down. So any of those batters with like a low avoid K, that's gonna drag down their contact less because they're gonna be striking out less. So that lets those batters become more relevant. And it is not going to nerf power. That means we cannot just go with a bunch of pitchers with good profiles except for HRA. HRA is still going to be important here. Ballpark factors, power is going to be up a little bit, even more for that. Slightly favoring righties, not enough to really change my picks. And it's a double PD. I tend to do better in these double PDs. So between Schalk and Dickey, because power is still up, we'll go Dickey. And am I going to have to take a live batter? That's kind of rough. I guess we'll take Mets legend Francisco Lindor. Alright, so the HRA is okay here. Am I still showing BREF, by the way? Yeah, I still am. The last three... hold on, let me see. The last three questions in the form don't have positions. Oh, yeah, those would all be starting pitchers. No one's responded yet, so let me close the form. Let me unpin it too. Thanks for catching that, Rev Jr. I'm going to correct that. Good thing this is not a speed draft. Well, it kind of is a speed draft because I would like to get both of them in before they fire. You can still complete your draft after they fire. As long as it's not a speed draft, you can do it in the grace period, but then you can't make any roster changes or strategy changes until the tournament fires, which gets kind of annoying. Okay, so I've corrected that. Thank you for the question. That is correct. It was a mistake. So now I'm going to reopen it for submissions. Now, usually when you make a change, it changes the link. So I'm going to put a new link up. All right, revised link to revised form for tonight's 10-pack giveaway. All right, now we'll pin that. Okay, the new form is up. It's just a clarification on the last few questions. Thanks, Fred Jr. for pointing it out. Okay, I don't like this profile. This is not a great. This is not a great diamond around here. We'll take overall, and I guess we'll take Riley. Yeah, see, we got a better first baseman right here in Hernandez, but we already have our first baseman, so. None of these are great center fielders. Even Augie, who's listed as center fielder, is only a 75. Bernansky is actually a better center fielder overall. I'll take the power profile of Bernansky. I guess we'll take Keltner. This is not a great start to this draft. Uh, that's too bad. I've been doing pretty well in these doubles too, but sometimes you just don't get the good luck in your picks. I guess with the era and the stadium, we'll take Jaha. Here's an example, right? He's got low avoid K. This is effectively going to be higher because the strikeout rate is lower, and so it really minimizes one of his big weaknesses. So we like that profile in this era. Right, so it's Sizemore. A lot of his contact is coming from avoid K. It's gonna minimize that value of that. Every time I see this Trent Grisham, I think Rich Grisham. Center fielder Rich Grisham. He actually does play decent center field, a 90. I don't love the sub 60 contact, but this glove in center with a decent bat, I think I might have to grab that. Oh, that's right. I already have Riley at first base. I guess one of them played DH. Pat Zactor, I think he's got a good card. The control's low, but I've been caring less about that in OOTP or PT26. Colson Montgomery, I like this card. The defense is low everywhere, but at least it's everywhere. Alright, I don't mind that. We're a little behind on pitchers, though. Yeah, I don't love this low HRA, but I might have to grab him because I'm behind on pitchers. Alvarez has this weird splittiness where he's better at some things versus lefties and he's better versus other things or righties. I kind of like that funky profile. Here's another decent fielding center fielder, but this live bat is not going to be great. We're finally starting to get to the point I feel like where the power creep is going to slowly start making these live cards fade out of the viability even in perfect drafts, but I'll take Robert for now. Okay, I think this Pelty card I like. The HRA is a little low. This PBAB is too low, so I think we'll go Pelty and Keck. We need to catch up on pitchers here. That's my concern. Round 9, and we only have 6 pitchers. Now, granted, in 58, we can get by with fewer pitchers, but we need a backup catcher. Luzardo or Gonzalez. Maybe I'll grab Gonzalez as my closer. Oh, do I take this Canseco card with the crazy power but nothing else? We do need outfielders too. Maybe I'll take it. Use them versus lefties. That low control does. That's low enough where I actually care in PT26. Below 40, I do start to care. I still might take him though, because here's the problem. In another era, the high stuff might convince me, but the stuff's going to be muted. The benefit of the stuff's going to be muted because there's a lot fewer strikeouts. All right, let's see what I need. Oh, interesting. Montgomery's not starting anywhere. All right, most of the starting and backup roles are filled, so we could just take best card available, I guess. And I'm probably only going to take 10 or 11 pitchers because of the era, so I no longer feel behind on pitchers. How many lefties do I have? 2 lefties. Both of these pitchers, I would basically be relying on their stuff, and stuff is so muted. Stuff is, I mean, strikeouts are almost half. So basically, I'm going to look at the stuff as if it's almost in half. All right, we'll take Posi. Hey, if I'm, yeah, glad. Okay, you fill out the form. Nice. Good luck. Let's grab a couple more pictures and then we'll be done here. Worried about the HRA, but we'll take Clancy. Maybe we'll take Santana out of the pen. Unless you want to take a bat. Any bats calling out to me. Maybe we'll take Kevin Mensch. That's a decent. Oh, let's do this. Okay. Oh, I do like this Blowfield card, even though this stuff is low. But again, the low stuff shouldn't be too bad in this era. I mean, I take 13 pitchers in Modern. I think 11's plenty in 58. It's probably even maybe one too many. I guess I'll take Tommy Edman. Bit of a Swiss Army knife. All right, that's good. I mean, this draft was off to a bad start anyway, so. I think with the new fatigue rules, I'm going to go 5 starting pitchers. Before, I probably would have gone 4 in 1958, but I'm a little worried about what the new rules going to do. I like Zachary first. I like Pelty next. Then overall, then Alvarez. I like Gonzalez to stop, but that's actually not bad. And then we'll go Santana, Blowfield. We'll put Win in long relief. Are we DHing Jaha versus righties too? He's actually not terrible this year versus righties. I feel like in 25, if I remember correctly, he was definitely VL only. But I do want to get Montgomery. Maybe Montgomery's my VR DH. Or how's Keltner versus righties? Keltner surprisingly good versus righties. All right, we'll go Montgomery DH versus righties. Do I want to get Canseco in here somehow versus lefties? All right, something like that maybe. Okay. All right, let me switch accounts. We're now, the tournament has fired, so now we're in the post-fire phase to draft this next team, which means we will not be able to make any roster or strategy changes and save them. So this 20 minutes is the 20 minutes for it to fire. I mean, before the first sim starts. It's already fired. Okay, got a little better luck this time. We'll take O'Neill. The nice thing about Allison is that he's a power hitter with eye, but can also field. Unlike like the Frank Howard card. Okay, we've already got Allison at first, but Allison can play outfield, so we can still take Keith Hernandez. And I guess we'll take Altuve. Can he turn double play? 61. That's not great. But I think he's better than the alternatives here. I'm not taking a relief pitcher. I think Sam McDowell plays in this era, yeah. Eddie Matthews, yep. Just make sure I'm not missing out here. I think we're okay. Take that. Let me just go ahead and reassign Allison here to... Actually, he might end up being... A 93 center fielder is not terrible. That card. That still might play. Guess if we find a better shortstop, then Travis can just go back up short and third. Let's grab him now. I think I like this Jeff Weaver card, right? Yeah, it plays in this era. Nice. We got Matthews right, so I'll go Mac Jones in the outfield. Like this Javi Baez card. Don't love the control, but this Ken Howell might play. I like it better than the Tia, I think. Usually, but maybe... Maybe I don't take either one. You can still find pitchers later. It's really hard to find power later. So Allison's be playing. Let's just put him in right field for now. Okay, so we do have room for a Glenn Davis bat. Again, the power is just hard to find later. We do need a catcher. Carlton. I guess we'll take Carlton. All right, we're starting to fall behind on pitching, but that was kind of the plan. We'd prioritize power early, and then grab our pitchers later. See, John May's another guy in a different era. I'd be all over this card with the P. BABIP and Stuff. Stuff is going to be nerfed. The Outbound Suppression is going to be important, so he's not a great match for this era. Calmer might be a little better. How's Ventura? Alright, Calmer has more PBAP and less stuff, which I like better for this era, so we'll take him. Let's get caught up on pitching if we can here. Oh, wait, I do like Stanton versus lefties, so we'll take him. I love Westrom versus lefties. I think it's Westrom, right? Versus lefties. Yeah, okay. Who do we miss? So we miss out on Carl Glass, which is... So that's a little tough to miss out on. I mean, Fisk is already a VL catcher, right? Yeah, maybe we just get a scrub catcher later, and then we'll take Dwight Glass or Sanchez better. Oh, Glass for the stamina, I think. Sanchez is definitely better versus lefties, but I'll go for the stamina. Okay, do we get our catcher now in Kinslow? I mean, he still has power. We're still only at 7 pitchers. Even for this era, that's a little behind. We still have 6 starting pitchers to go, so let's keep picking. Linz is more of the Swiss Army knife, so we'll take him. Hey, Kai Santa, welcome. There's a pack giveaway form pinned to the chat if you want to participate. We're going to guess what we get from the player creation engine tonight. We're doing some creator roster prep. I'm going to have to start getting serious about grabbing some pitchers now. I think this Arrighetti card I like in live bronze. That's not too bad. Let's see what our depth chart looks like. I think we're fine there. don't. That control scares me. So, all right, we're at 9 pitchers, and I want to have 11. Don't love having to take 2 pitchers in the last round, but let's see what we got here. Lurch had a better card in PT25, but it's not terrible. Okay, Lively for sure. So we're at 10 pitchers now, so that won't be awful, but I would like the cushion of having an 11th. Okay, we're going to go Brendan Little. I think we're good here. Now let's see if it'll let me save. Because we're in that weird period. After it fired, but before. Okay, it did let me save. Nice. Is anyone still playing 4 starting pitchers in 1958 after the stamina change? Okay, that looks good. Carl Glass is a stopper. I don't mind that. Okay, I'm going to get Glenn Davis in there, VL. I guess, do we just straight up platoon with Hernandez? Altuve is my DH versus lefties. Let's see. He can play in the field. Where can he? Oh, just second base. Where can Baez play? Oh, he can play everywhere. Okay, we'll just have him play short. And then Altuve will play second. And then Glenn Davis will be our DH. And then I want to get Stanton in there versus lefties. Like, how about he'll take Mac Jones's place? Yeah, Mac Jones is useless versus lefties, so we'll put Stanton in there, who crushes lefties. Allison, Stanton, Glenn Davis. Okay, then versus righties. I think this looks alright. Travis is in there. Travis isn't great. Again, if I can get Altuve out of the DH spot, then I can throw in another VR bat. Who would that be? Actually, Glenn Davis versus righties still isn't that bad. Oh, Travis is a good defense. Okay, let's just leave this. I think that's fine. We'll let Altuve steal a little bit. 90, was he 99 stealing? Yeah. And Baez. Okay. All right, let me switch accounts. Let me just do the lineups for the other team, and then we'll start generating players. We already drafted the other team. I just didn't set the lineups or anything. Probably because the start of this other draft was pretty rough, and when your diamond rounds aren't great, it's kind of like pretty much makes it tough to have a good run. But let's go ahead and set the rosters. Did I at least set the strategies here? I did. I did not do the pitching staff yet, though. Oh, I did get the starters where I wanted them, I think. Oh, no, I did. It looks like I did these relievers, too. Yeah, okay, we're done. I guess I did do this. I just didn't put as much thought into it as I would have normally. Okay. Alright, so I think we can go ahead and close the form. Let's see. How many, Oh, good. We got a good number of entries already. Nice. So yeah, 8,000 is the number we're generating each pack. I wanted to do 10,000 like I did in PT25, but it wasn't exporting. And then Smileface Jane let me know that there's like an 8,000 in some row limit to exporting. I don't remember. You know what? I wasn't exporting in PT25 though. I was just kind of eyeballing the results, so I didn't run into that. But I want to be able to export it to do some pivot tables and stuff, be a little more quantitative. Especially since the profiles did change so much. So that's why 2,000 fewer data points in each one, but much easier to export. So I think the trade-off was worth it. So let's start generating players. I've already done some of the generation. So let me clear out, before I put it on screen, let me clear out the current batch, because once anyone sees these data points, I'll have to close the form. Or I'll want to close the form before. So let me make sure there's no one in the free agency pool. Okay, good. It's cleared out, so that's fine. So we can put it right in here. Ripley the Oriole. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Oh, good timing, because I was about to close the pack giveaway form. If anyone wants to enter our contest tonight to win packs for Perfect Team 26, it is pinned to the chat. We're basically guessing what it's going to look like when we generate a bunch of players in the player creation engine as we get ready to restart create a roster in the base game. And so Ripley, were you still playing your... Okay, so I remember... Are you the Marlins now? I think this is a brand new save where you're the Marlins. You lost a heartbreaker Game 7 to the Diamondbacks in the NLCS. You put some of their players through pain and agony. Does that mean they went on to lose the World Series because you weakened them so much? To find if he never wants to go into the ball flattener. Yeah, so we do a lot of our in-stream community games use the player creation engine. And it's always helpful to understand how that's working. But there's also been a pretty big shift in some of the players generated. So I want to kind of see what that looks like. And as always, the pack giveaway is based on just guessing how those how our sim, or in this case, how our player generation goes tonight. It's a well-worn tradition that Bartolo Colon assumes direct control of your body and inflicts torment on teams. Is that just a lot of is that a lot of just beating players? I didn't even know. I never even realized, because I've played base game for at least a decade now, and I didn't even realize you could intentionally beam players until I watched Ezra Denny do it to original Met Richie Ashburn over and over. Oh, you just give them injuries in commission mode. That's amazing. I've done the reverse. I've had my favorite players get injured, and I'll go ahead and I'll turn their ACL recovery into 2 days or something. But I've never inflicted injuries on players. Testicular torsion sounds especially unpleasant. Is that even one of the choices? That's amazing. I never noticed testicular torsion before. That's fantastic. The yearly tradition of giving Mike Trout a bionic leg or something. Yeah, so if any of you rating and want to take part in our pack giveaway, feel free to throw in some guesses. A lot of these I don't even know. Like, what percentage of star level closers will be left handed? I don't know. But what I was curious to see is, does that percentage change between closer and reliever, or between levels? Like, do you get more lefties at legend level than you do at good level? I don't know. Let's find out. Is that actually an option? Can you give someone a prosthetic leg in the game? Oh, there's a custom injury box. That is incredible. Oh my goodness, that is so good. I never noticed that before. See? Even though I've been playing base game and using commissioner mode and editor for a long time, I never noticed you could use the custom injury box. That's amazing. That's really good. All right. Well, if there are going to be no new, if anyone's working on a package form, let me know. I don't mind holding off on closing it for a while. You'll go in and edit my trust injury ratings to all 1 out of 200 because you underwent a RoboCop level body replacement. Claydogs. Okay, I'll wait till you're done, Claydog. So one of the things I'm kind of used to be obsessed with in OTP were these like player careers that were cut short or diminished by injury, like Rocco Baldelli. And, like all these, like, what might have been, right, if these players hadn't gotten hurt. Like Brian Taylor, the Yankees first round pick in I think like 90 or 91, hurts his shoulder in a bar fight. It's never the same. But it's kind of interesting. Like, Mike Trout's starting to become one of those guys. Like, you don't think of it for a multiple MVP winner, but it's starting to kind of feel like we might end up looking back in his career and say, man, what might have happened to Mike Trout if he didn't get hurt? Because the last few seasons, he's missed a bunch of games. Yeah, exactly. He's got 80 WAR. Yeah, so if you say 80, I'm sure it's in. I know it's in the high double digits, and he's missed at least half of the last few years. Yeah, and so we're getting to the point where, like, he might end up being one of those. Yeah, he won MVPs, but how many could he have won if he hadn't been hurt so much? So I'm hoping that, I think they're not going to have him play center field anymore. I'm hoping things like that help extend his health. But yeah, because I don't want him to turn into one of those players either. It's like, oh, what could have happened if that dude hadn't gotten hurt so much? All right, so once Claydog feels has form, we're gonna start generating players. I've already got some and I've got the pivot table set up so we can just start exporting them into my Google Sheet. It took me a while to get this set up though, because I know how to do this stuff in Microsoft Excel, but I had to figure out how to do it in Google Sheets, and some things it seems like I can't do in Sheets. Yeah, Mickey Mantle is one of the main ones who still had an amazing career, but I still wonder what would have happened. And then Ted Williams is the other one who missed so many years because of two wars and years in his prime. And he and Willie Mays are crazy though. They both come back from military service. And you would think, being away from the game for a year, I think in Willie Mays' case, in 3 years, 2 or 3 years in Ted Williams' case, just like pick up as if nothing had happened. Like basically putting up MVP level seasons. Even then, though, I think, could that season have been better if they weren't coming back from not playing ball and had been playing ball those 3 years or that year and a half, whatever it was for Willie Mays. So not only do you lose the time from the game, 3 years worth of stats, but then it's like, how much better would their other seasons have been if they hadn't had that interruption? And then Williams goes and fights in the Korean War too. So yeah, Claydog, it's long because I didn't know what to ask. So we just want to have. I just want to make sure we had a pack giveaway tonight, and then we're just going to generate a bunch of players. Oh, and if you guys are interested in this, I know that. Let me give a shout out to the Nolan Network. He's doing a Ted Williams sim, where he's not going to miss any years to military service and stuff, and see like how good he could have been. That's a question I've always asked myself a lot. So, and that's a fun sim to follow. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the form, and then we'll go ahead and start generating players here. So I've already done legend level and star level starting pitchers. So let's generate 8,000 good level starting pitchers. Okay, so they should be in the free agency pool. And then we're just going to export this, write report to CSV. And then I'm going to pull that into... All right, I had this figured out. Let me make sure I still know how to do this. First, let me title my spreadsheet. I'm using episode 321, create a roster prep. Okay. So, to the first thing I had to figure out was to pull things into Google Sheets. They have to be in my Google Drive. So where's my Google Drive? This is off screen, I realize. I apologize for that. But I've got a Google Drive ready to go. And then I've got... So where your files go, if you have the default setup, and I use Steam, but it goes into your save games folder for whatever save you're in, right? So this is part of a save, a creator roster player generated save. You go into the save games and then open that save game, and then there's an import export folder, and then it'll be saved in there. But it gives it a generic name, so I've been renaming them. So I'm going to start the file name with, this is good SP8000. And then I just drag that into my Google Drive. And then I'll show you my Google Sheet that I'm using. shrink this down a little bit. So I'm just dumping everything into here. So this is so I'm going to import it into a new sheet. And then file, oh, didn't mean to do that. File, import, create a roster test data, good, starting picture 8,000. Should put it here. Yeah, there it is. So I'll name this sheet good SP 8000. I did warn everybody in the title, this is a spreadsheet stream tonight. All right, and then what I do then is I'm going to take everything from the throws. And if you do Control Shift, let me close this. This is silly. If you go Control Shift right, oh no, wait, is it Shift? Wait a second. Oh, I'm not in here. Control Shift right, and then Control Shift down. I've got everything, and then these two rows or columns I've added, so I want to avoid that for now. So we have to add 1,000 rows at the bottom. Okay, so now if I paste what I just copied into here, yeah, then these two columns are basically, okay, this is good level. I enter that manually. And this is a formula where I'm just taking the 3 left characters of the star field. I don't know why OTP does this, but the stars field, instead of just saying 2.5, it says 2.5 stars, which messes up my pivot table. So I had to create this field that just concatenates that. So Control D copies everything down, so that fills that stuff in. Okay. So now stars, and I'll show you the pivot table after we get everything in here. So let's get all the starting pictures in here. So we're down at good level. Let's delete these guys out. And then let's generate our average level, 8,000. Okay, and then we will do another report. Yeah, here's the now yours will be different, right? Mine's franchise time machine, so it's under FRA and C. I know people like Ezra have taken everything out of OneDrive. I should have done that also. I did not do that. But this is where you can find the file. Now again, this is the part I'm going to do off screen because I just already have it set up here. I'm going to rename the file, put average SP8000 in the title. And I'll drag that into my Google Drive. Once it's in my Google Drive from the spreadsheet, which I can show you, which you've seen, now I can access that. So I need to create a new, I mean, I don't need to do this in separate tabs. It just helps me keep it organized. I'm naming this average SP8000. And let's import average. There it is. Current sheet. All right. And we start with the throws. Control Shift right, Control Shift down, copy the whole thing. There are probably easier ways to do this stuff, but need to add some more rows. Then we'll paste that in. Okay, this is average level. And we're going to copy this formula. Oops, what did I just do? All right. I was actually control down. I must have hit a key. Shift left, Control Shift up, Control D. Copy that down. Okay, average is done. So we can delete out all of these average starting pictures. They're not, sorry, I shouldn't call them average starting pictures because some are above average, some are below average. But they were generated as average. So starting picture, average age, bench level, 8,000. Okay, then let's export. Write report to CSV. And this is that off-camera part where I rename the file. This was bench level, right? I'm pretty sure it's bench level. All right, and then I'm going to drag this into Google Drives. Okay, and then back into the spreadsheet. Let's create a new sheet. Import. Bench level starting pictures. Okay, and then Control Shift down, copy this whole thing. And this, when you write to CSV, it only gives you the fields in that particular view, which is fine because that has. But when we get to the position players, I'm going to drag in some fields that we want. In particular, stuff like, can they throw? Can they play? What positions can they play? Add some more rows. Paste in the new data. Bench. Copy this formula. Control D, copies everything down. All right, now we go to the scrubs, scrub level starting pictures. Wait, oh, wait. I almost forgot to delete these guys out. That would have gotten messy. I'm sure we have no batters in here too. Okay, good, we're good. All right. So now we go back to create 8,000 average age, scrub level, starting pictures. Okay, well, they do have a bunch of 2.5 stars in here. I'm surprised. I mean, it is out of 8,000. This is like 15 or 14. So, I mean, how many? 2.5 screens down, you're down to 2-star. Quite a few 2-stars, though. I'm pretty surprised. Looks like starting pitchers may be a little more generous at the scrub level this time around. We'll find out, though. We'll find out. So yeah, sorry, I gotta rename this file scrub SP8000. Drag it into my Google Drive. Okay, and then from our spreadsheet, our Google Sheet, we'll go ahead and rename this scrub. All right, we'll import where's my scrub? Oh, there it is. All right, again, starting with the throws. Grab all this data. Paste it in down here. Scrub. Copy this formula down. Go down to the bottom, which is Control down arrow. Highlight these two cells. Control Shift up. Control D to copy down. Okay, so now I'll take you to the pivot table I have. And we're gonna, well, okay, in Excel you just update. There's an update. I'm not seeing an update here. Do I have to regenerate the pivot table? Yeah, Excel just, when you right click on the spreadsheet, there's an update and it just like, all right, let's assume I have to redo the pivot table then. All right, so the column headers are going to be our levels. The row headers are going to be our overall rating. And the values will be the overall count. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty interesting. The legend level, it goes, well, let's do this. Okay, so first of all, let's reorder these. Will it let me reorder these? Sort by. So column sort by. Oh man, it's not gonna, it won't let me do a custom sort. All right, one way we could get around that is we could rename all legends 1. I mean, really, I should do a lookup table and then create a separate column that says level number. And if it's legend, make it 1. But let's just brute force it for tonight. What's the best way to do this if I'm going to do this? No, it's going to take way too long. Maybe it is easier to just do, oops, what I just said. Oh, will it let me do VLOOKUP? Seems like such an Excel thing. I don't know if there's a VLOOKUP. Oh, there is a VLOOKUP. Okay, so I'm going to create a VLOOKUP table. Okay, so level number. If it's legend, you'll be 1 legend. If you're star, you'll be 2 star. If you're good, you'll be 3 good. If you're if you're average, you'll can't have any typos. 4 average. If you're bench, you'll be 5 bench. If you're scrub, you'll be 6 scrub. Okay, so that's our table. I could name this. Can I name tables in Google Sheets? Level lookup. Looks like it let me do that. Okay, so now if I do VLOOKUP, well, the range is just here, right? Oh, range index. Can I just put the table? Ah, oh, jeez. Hold on. I have to remember how to do this. Okay, so the range, I think I should be able to just put in the table name, right? Level lookup. Index should be 2. I think it's probably considered not sorted, so yeah, so far it's working. Let's see if it works on the whole thing. Copy this down. Now, of course, we know it worked for legend. It worked for star. Worked for good. Worked for average. Worked for bench. All right. Some stuff in Excel does translate over. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Unfortunately, without that refresh function, I think I wanted to recreate this. What if I do show details? No? No, that's not what I wanted. That is definitely not what I wanted. Delete that. Is there really no refresh? Data refresh? Alright, well, I've got... They're piling up here, so let's delete these. And I guess we got to do a new... new pivot table. Insert pivot table as a new sheet. The columns are now our new level number. So now they're in order. You can refresh. I couldn't find the refresh. The rows are our overall. And the values are our overall count. Okay. Find me, how do I do a refresh if I change something? How do I refresh it? I thought it'd be under the right click. Choose the... I thought that's what I was doing, though. I chose the pivot table, right? Isn't this choosing the pivot table? And then choosing refresh from the menu. Where is the menu? I guess that's the part I'm missing. There's an edit here. Where's the menu? Is it under data? Format? Yeah, I guess I couldn't find the pivot table menu. Here's the pivot table editor. I also didn't know how to get back to this editor either. Yeah, when I right click, I don't see menu. Pivot table. Oh, maybe if I go here. Filter views. That's not what it is, right? Pivot table menu. The bottom left corner, click the edit option. Yeah, so I get back to the editor. And then pivot table menu. I don't see the menu. Close the data range option. This one, close this. I'm not sure how to close that. Oh, I can refresh here. If I just hit OK, will it refresh? Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. We'll try that next time. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. This is strange to me. At the scrub level, we only had one star and no half stars. We usually get a ton of half stars. So now if we want to change this to percentages, so I'm just going to do this quick and dirty. I don't recommend you do it this way. Okay, and then this equals this number divided by 8,000. I would never normally hard code a number like the 8,000 in there, but I'm doing that tonight. Okay. So yeah, for starting pitchers, I mean this distribution I think looks very different from what we probably saw on PT25 or OTP25. By the time you get to good, you're getting no 5 stars or 4.5 stars. Average is very average. They've clustered it 87.4% at 2.5. You don't have that at good or star, right? I think part of that is because they're probably defining average to be 2.5, so they just said, okay, everything's going to be here. Bench is 75.8% at 2, and then scrub is 88.4% at 1.5. It might be worth going back to do this at in OOTP25, but scrub was way worse than this, I think. So that's interesting. Part of what they might have done is they said, okay, well, since you chose major league level, there's a floor to how bad major leaguers normally are. I don't think that floor was in there. Yeah, this is going to hurt lowball for sure. It's very interesting. I think maybe tomorrow what we do is we redo this experiment in OTP 25 and we put them side by side because I feel like this is a pretty big shift. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just think like it's important for us to know this. That this distribution probably is very different from what we saw before. Okay, another thing we could do from the same cut of data is we can pivot around. I'm going to do another pivot because I don't want to lose that other pivot. We could just do this under the same pivot, but I want to save that one as is. So we're just going to insert a new pivot. It's going to eat some resources, but this is a pretty relatively small data set, pretty simple pivot. So I don't mind that. We're going to do the same columns. We're going to do the level number so they're in order. For the rows, though, I want to do stuff. I'll do a count of stuff. So yeah, I would say this is probably a much lower frequency of 85 and 90 stuff compared to what we saw in OTP 25. This is also interesting. There's a weird little bump here at 45 stuff. Like this is a pretty normal distribution, but then there's a little bump here at 45 stuff. I don't know what that's about. There's also this little weird bimodal shape here for good, where there's a little peak here at 75 and 70 stuff, drops back down, and there's a bigger peak at 50 stuff. That's very interesting as well. All right, so let's do the same kind of thing we did in the other one. Let's look at this as a percentage basis. Okay, and this equals that divided by 8,000. Again, don't hard code in your models, people. Don't do what I'm doing. Do as I say, not as I do. You should not be hard coding. Yeah, so this little 2.2, it's a tiny peak, but then there's another peak here at 50. It's just weird that it has this little peak here. Same here, you get a little peak here at 1.8, and then it drops down, and then you get to the big peak here. Hard coding just means job security for the next person. But you can see, right, it is shifting down, but there's a floor to how far you can go down. So then what ends up happening is just everyone gets squished down at 35 stuff here. But, that there's nothing below 30, I think that's also a change. I do recall seeing 20 stuff in OOTP25. It really does feel like what they said was, okay, because when you import, one of the things you select when you import or create is the destination league. And I think probably what may have happened is they looked at the profiles that are being created, and like the ones that were the bottom of the scrub barrel, which are the ones, someone mentioned lowball, those are the ones you wanted for lowball. They're clearly below major league level. And I think maybe part of this was they've cut out that end of the tail. All right, so what other questions did I have around starting pitchers that we need to do a pivot for? Lefty righty. We need that by level. Stuff control. I had a question around control, and I had questions around lefty righty by level. And then we'll do. Yeah, so let's do lefty righty by level. Okay, again, we could have just used that same pivot, but I'm going to create a new pivot. Insert pivot table, new sheet. Columns are going to be level by number. The values this time are throws. Oh, no, sorry. The rows are throws. Okay, that should be it. Okay, it is interesting. It doesn't seem like there's... Well, let's see. I mean, the denominator's the same for all of these. It's 8,000, so... It looks consistent. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that looks like an intentional change. It does look like it's within the realm of RNG. .28.1% lefties at the good level is the highest. 26.2 at average is the lowest. It seems like that could just be noise. Alright, here's what we're going to do in the interest of time. It's already midnight, my time. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to generate the closer data to the levels I asked for. And I think we'll ignore the position. We'll ignore the infielder, outfielder stuff. We won't count them because I'm not going to generate them. I didn't realize how long this would take. But I am interested in the closer reliever stuff. So you know what we'll do? We'll make today about pitchers. And then we'll do the other stuff another day. So thanks for filling the forms out and all those questions. I apologize, we're not going to use those tonight, but we will do the closer reliever stuff. And then we'll make today about pitchers. I think that might be the best use of our time. So for the closer relievers, I think we just need star levels and I asked a question about Yeah, so all the power rating stuff for the infielders, we're gonna kick that can down the road. We do have a lefty righty question for relievers and closers. We can do that from the same data set. I just have to generate them. Oh, we need to do the control. We didn't do the control yet. We did the stuff, but not the control. Okay, so that was here. So let's do this. This is lefty righty. This one is stuff. This one is star. So let's just copy the stuff one. And we'll name it control. And let's test out what flying WView is telling us. So if we go here. Oh, this isn't even refreshing. We're going to change this. We're going to change. We're going to replace stuff with control. Oh, okay. We do go down to 20 for this. And for values, we're going to replace values with control as well. And make that count. Did it automatically expand this table? It did, didn't it? That's pretty cool. Because this didn't go to 20 before, but yeah, nice. So what's interesting is you get more 70 control pitchers at star level than at legend level. That's wild. I would not have expected that. But you get more of the 55 control as well. And your tail's longer. You have 1% reaching down to 35. But you can see the peak marching down, right? From 65 to 55. Here's the peak is at 55, then it's 50. It's 50, but the the kind of the fat end of the distribution moves to 45 instead of 55. And then you go down to 45, and then there's a huge drop in control from bench to scrub. You can see it like moving at 5 at a time here, and then there's a huge drop to 20. That's amazing. Okay, don't get your starting pitchers at the scrub level if you want any kind of control. What a huge shift. Now again, we're not looking at any of the profiles. We're just looking at the control numbers. So these could be low control pitchers with high stuff. But there's a ton of 20 control pitchers at scrub level. There's almost none at the higher levels. That is really interesting. Wow. Griffin Canning, I have not been paying. So I actually pay very little attention to current live baseball. You would think I would pay much more attention to current live baseball. Um, of course, I pay more attention as we get into the heart of the pennant race. I do pay more attention to the playoffs. but my brain is mostly on like historic baseball. So I don't have a good answer for you on that. Um, the main thing I do at this part of the season is I watch Sports Center regularly. So I saw the craziness of the Cubs game yesterday. So I see stuff like that, but I don't follow enough. Even the Mets, I don't follow enough longitudinally, right, from day to day, to really track, to really like have a perspective on stuff like that. Um, Part of it's just time. Like I have so much other time stuff that I don't. I did not. I'm assuming I'll see the highlights though on Sports Center, Jeff. That's why also when I see Sporer do his one of the most impressive things I saw was when Sporer was streaming, and then he had to do one of his radio spots for fantasy. And so we're watching him, and we know he's not looking stuff up. We know he's not typing in and looking stuff up. We know he's not referencing notes or anything, and he's just like pulling stats and player names out of his head. And at first, it's like, okay, anyone who does fantasy probably would know these players and maybe like the first couple of stats. But then he's like reaching pretty deep into his bag, and I'm like, man, he's doing this like off the top of his head, and it was really impressive. And so I just don't have the capacity to keep up with IRL baseball in real time. Okay, interesting with a Pirates player, bottom of the ninth, gets a leadoff triple, slides into third, injures his left shoulder. His right hand is the only thing touching the base. He can't call for a timeout with his left because he's hurt. So he calls for a timeout with his right. Guardian's tagging out not really knowing he's hurt. So my understanding is like timeout is not awarded until the ump awards it, right? So just like, yeah, since he's not touching the bag. So by the letter of the rule, I would assume he's out, even though that kind of sucks for him. My understanding also was like you don't have to make the hand motion. He could have kept his hand on the bag and asked for time, right? Is it a requirement that you... I thought you don't necessarily have to signal for time. You could ask for time. Yeah, well, I get it though. Yeah, if his other shoulder's hurt, he's going to do what he normally does. That is a bummer though. Especially because, like, you lose a runner on third, and he's hurt, so he's out of the game. So you lose a runner and the player. That sucks. That does suck. But that Cubs game was crazy. The highlights were super fun to watch of that. And I forgot what record they mentioned. In fact, let me look it up. They set some record yesterday. They mentioned it in the SportsCenter highlight, but I forgot to. Sometimes when it's like a crazy enough record, I'll like make note of it. But I was just watching, like, wow, that's crazy. It was a record from like early in the 21st century or something. Oh, the 20th century. Anyway, those highlights were pretty awesome. But yeah, so stuff like that play that Jeff the Jar was just mentioning, I'll miss stuff like that. Um, Even the fact that Griffin Canning has improved, that Star was asking about, I missed that. So there's lots of stuff in current baseball that I miss out on. In fact, I mean, this does seem a little ironic, but playing OOTP gives me even less time to watch current baseball. So, so it's almost like doubling down on historic baseball and really minimizing the time I have to keep up with current baseball. No, for sure, Star. If it's part of live spec, it makes a ton of sense. I should probably be doing more of that, even if it's just keeping up with current stats. But the one thing I did notice last in PT25 that I'm going to do this time too is, mostly it makes sense to use free pitchers in your bullpen. And then notice every live update, all my free relief pitchers would go away because they got promoted up to gold or higher. So they weren't free anymore. So now what I do is if I'm using a free pitcher a lot in the bullpen, I'm just going to buy as much of that pitcher as I can get. Because historically, like that's why I ended up with a bunch of Griffin Jackses last year. I think, well, maybe she didn't start free. There are a bunch of relief pitchers that started out free, and I bought them, and then by the end of the cycle, I had a bunch of like diamond and perfect relief pitchers that I was able to quick sell. So that's my main live spec is just like paying attention to who I'm using in the bullpen. Also because the bullpen, the relievers are so volatile that it seems like they're the most likely to shoot up. They're also the most likely to drop down though, so there's the danger there too. Okay, my dog is now dreaming, so if you hear him whimpering, it's because he's dreaming. He's not. I'm not hurting my dog. He's just dreaming. The mic might pick up his dream whimpers. Okay, so let's start generating those relief pitchers and closers so we can finish up tonight. Does that mean OOTP is a leading indicator? Do you mean for live spec? I mean, PT Live relief pitchers are for me, but that's about it. Oh, the other thing I noticed was like Gavin Lux was a silver second baseman, so he was free. Actually, he might have started out as bronze, and I was rostering him a lot in Perfect Team, PT Live. And I was like, okay, well, if he's going to go up again, it's going to be to gold. So I think I bought some of him. But it's mostly relief pitchers. I made most of my live spec perfect points on relief pitchers. And I wasn't following trends or Fussmucker was really good at that. Like following stats and following trends. It was just literally who am I rostering a lot in Perfect Team Live? And should I be, buying up a bunch of them? And then, frankly, I didn't quick sell during the season. I just waited till the end of the regular season to do it. So I missed out on all the ups and downs, which probably was good for my sanity. I probably missed some chances to sell some of those relievers before they bottomed out again. So maybe I'll pay closer attention this cycle. But live spec is something I always think I wish I were better at. I just don't have the time. All right, let's start generating some relief pitchers now. So we got a relief pitcher boost in the middle of OTP25. And we know that it messed up our low ball a little bit, so I had to change the rules for low ball. And the rule change seemed to work pretty well. I gave everybody 10 relief pitchers instead of 5. But that boost was not given to closers. And so this year at the start of the cycle, I just want to get a baseline comparison of closers and relievers just to see where we are. That also meant for regular creator roster, relief pitchers got the boost and closers did not. So that's something I think some players are factoring in. All right, so let's start with our relievers. These are just the regular reliever roles. And we'll go legend level, 8,000. Okay, there's a lot of high stuff here. Okay, so let me go back into that import export folder. And rename it Legend RP. And then I'll drag that into our creator roster test data folder. All right, then let's go ahead and delete these guys out. Star level RPs, 8,000 of these. Okay, we're still seeing quite a few 85s in here. Star RP 8,000. Delete them. Good level RP 8,000. By the way, is this interesting to anybody else but me? Or am I the only one who thinks this is interesting? Well, that's interesting. I'm not seeing this popping up here. Write to CSV. Okay, there it is. Now I see it. Okay. Wait, what level was this? Was this good level? Okay, just to be safe, I'm going to delete this. I'm worried that I did star level again. Alright, I just deleted it. We'll delete these guys. The downside is once you generate them, there's really no way other than maybe watching the VOD. Okay, relief picture. Average age. Good level. This is definitely good level. I 100% did good level just now. Okay, Flying WV at least says it's interesting. Alright, and then let's report. Write report to CSV. Okay, this is definitely good level RP. Okay, I learned something too. Next time, I'm going to do the RP-SP first instead of the level first. Because it's making finding them harder. Lesson learned. Okay, now we're going to do average level. 8,000 of these. And let's write the report to CSV. Average RP 8,000. Yeah, the Lindor. I mean, you know, the style with which he drilled that and then dropped the bat and just walked out of the batter's box was pretty awesome. It was his 250th. So it was 250th and a walk-off game winner. So if there's ever a time to showboat, that was it. So yeah, if you didn't see it, he like rips a home run like a no doubter, and just like goes right into a home run walk. And and everyone was watching for him to hit 250, and so it was already like in that mode, and then he crushes a game winner. It was pretty awesome. All right, this is. God dang it! I'm worried that I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna. I think I'm. I keep thinking I might have done it wrong. I was thinking about that Lindor home run. I got. I'm not being critical. I'm just saying I distracted myself thinking about that Lindor home run. All right, bench level. This is definitely bench level. I just need to be more intentional and just like make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm generating each time. Because once you're here, there's no way to know what you did. All right, here's bench level RP 8,000. And then one last batch of relief pitchers. Scrub level 8,000. Lindor almost looked disappointed, like it was too easy or something. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought, yeah, that's interesting. I definitely see what you're talking about there. All right, scrub relief pitcher. Okay. Chaz is appealing as 1 game suspension. Man, I mean, what can you do? I mean, the call was definitely off. And the thing is, like, the players are held accountable, and they should be, but, like, there's zero accountability for the umps. And as a player, I mean, I would, I would have gotten super frustrated there too. Yeah, it was a balls and strike call. It was, I think, a full count. The ball was definitely low. You know, on Sports Center they show it with the strike zone, and the guy framed it right. The catcher brings it up. The ump punches him out. He's definitely. I mean, Chaz definitely has a gripe there. I mean, the call was, I think, wrong. And then he gets tossed, and it's like, you have no recourse. It's not like, let's say he was right and it was a ball. The batter has no recourse. The ump has no accountability. And so I would have gotten frustrated too. And it was a big situation. And look, I'm not saying what he did was right. He cost his team by getting tossed from the game. He doesn't get to, doesn't get to help win the game. But at the same time, it's like, as a batter, what are you supposed to do when there's like a missed call like that? All right, so let's create a sheet for legend. I guess, should we go to the far right of this? Okay, this will be legend RP. And we'll just import I guess we could. No, I can't. I was going to say, let's just import them into one sheet. But I need to be able to add the legend stuff. Legend RP, there it is. I could append to the current sheet, but then I need a place for where I add the level. Oh, no, sorry. I'm doing that in the other sheet. Sorry. So then what I do is I add RP data. And then I copy, for the first one, I'm going to copy all of this, Control Shift, from the throwing down. Oh, I don't need statistical accuracy. Shoot, hold on. So I need everything to here. We might do a hold at some point, right? So I'm going to keep the hold data. So then I'm going to paste that here. And then we need level. And we need overall truncated. So we know this is legend. We know this is equals left. The string is here, and we need the first three. Yeah. I'm going to go down to here. Okay. Because of these columns, I don't think I can do... I mean, I guess I can add them to the right and then just add them in here. Anyway, I know what we've been doing works, so I'm just going to keep pushing ahead with that. Okay, this will be star RP. Star. Did I not drag all these into Google? Oh, I didn't. I did not. I guess I didn't. I thought I was doing that as I went along, but I guess I didn't. Legend RP is in here, but none of the others are. Okay, so Legend is in there. Star RP, Good RP, Average RP, Bench RP, and Scrub RP. I drag all those in. Okay, now it should show up. There we go. Star RP. There's Star RP. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'm going to grab the the scouting accuracy. It's not going to hurt anything, and it just makes it simpler. Okay, and then we'll go down to the bottom, shift over. Oh, wait, I forgot to add in. This is to star. Well, we did get at least one 5-star at the star level. Okay, and then create a good RP. Import. Yeah, I definitely bit off more than I can chew with that giveaway form. There's no way we're getting past pictures. This is taking quite a bit of time. But now we know. Now we have a better sense of. All right, so starting with throwing, copy all that. Paste it into our RP data. This is 3 good. Copy this down. Go down to the bottom of the section. Highlight both columns. Control Shift up. Control D. Copy down. And we're good. Okay, now we go to create our average RP. And we'll import that data. Average RP. There we go. Okay, we'll copy and paste that. This is for average. Copy this formula. Okay. Bench RP. Oops. That goes down here in the tab name, bench RP. Let's import that bench RP data. Okay. 3 stars looks like the highest if there's just one of those. This is pretty interesting. The distributions have definitely changed. I think lowball might get impacted the most. And then we got to import our scrub RP. Okay. Well, let's add that to our relief pitcher data set, and then we are good to run a pivot here. Actually, I wonder if we should do closers and relievers in the same data set and then do one pivot. I should have thought that earlier. It's a little late to change course here, so we'll just do... Because I would have ideally put it... Well, I could just add another field. It might make the pivot process a little simpler. I don't think we're anywhere near the limitation on rows. Although, you know what, the current pivot fits in the screen really nicely, so maybe we'll just keep doing it this way. right, let's see what this looks like when we pivot it. The columns are... Why is it not populating? Oh. That's not what I want at all. Alright, let's delete this. Oh yeah, I highlighted these two cells. I did not mean to do that. Insert pivot table. Okay, there we go. Highlight the whole thing. There we go. Columns are our levels. We included the number this time, so we don't have to do any VLOOKUPs. The rows are the truncated overall rating. And the values are the rating counts. Okay. So actually, let me do, well, hold on. I'm just going to copy. Wait, for the starting pictures, where... I'm just wondering how similar or dissimilar it looks. So 70, let's just look at the numbers. I don't have the percentages yet. 5940, 1527. 5940, 1527. Okay. So the tail is going to be a little longer, it looks like. Maybe if I look at percentages, it'll be a little more clear. Again, I'm going to hard code with the 8000. Okay, so for relief pictures at legend level, it's 67.9. So basically 68, 25, 6. So the 5-star, basically you're shifting a bunch of 5 stars to 4.5 stars. And then let's look at good level, for example. It's 52.5%. So 52% at 3. And then 27, 16.5. Good level here. Oh wow, it's much more, it's definitely squished down. So yeah, so your relievers are definitely not as good from a star perspective as the starting pitchers. The distribution is shifted down a little bit. I don't think as severely as it was, but look at this drop off. You're at 78% 2-star and the rest 1.5 basically. This is for the relief pitchers. So at bench level, 78 and 22. And for the starters, it's 76 at 2-star. And almost none at 1.5 star. Oh, this is also 2-star. They didn't have any 1s or 0s. Okay. but it's 22% 1.5 star, whereas for the starting pitchers, it's 24% 2.5 stars. So they both peak at 2, but the relief pitchers have the rest of the pitchers at 1.5. At starting pitchers, the rest are 2.5. So instead of a quarter being better, a quarter are worse. So the relief pitcher is definitely generating a little bit worse. Oh, Jeffrey, I didn't realize the challenges were. This is the is this for balls and strike challenges? Because you can still challenge outs, right? You can challenge out calls and home run calls and stuff. Okay, but this is an interesting shift here for relief pitchers. We also want to look at relief pitcher lefty righty, see if there's any difference there. So this is RP star. We'll do another pivot table for RP left and right. Columns, rows will be throws. And then values will be throws count. Is it just me, or does this look like the percentages a little shifted down a percent or two from the starters? Not a ton. So these numbers are all like roughly 2,600. Oh, maybe it's going to be the same. Let's see. Lefty, right for starters. Oh yeah, we have we have. I would say it's a significantly higher number. Yeah, so the relievers are about a third lefties. The starters are about a quarter lefty. Sure, yeah. Is it Mishokahin? Um, we are testing out the player generation engine in OOTP26 to kind of understand Misho. Okay, what kind of star levels are we getting at the different levels? So if you've never used it before, the player creation engine in the base game, you get to choose what level player you want: legend, star, good, average, bench, or scrub. And at least for starting pitchers, we wanted to see what the distribution looks like. So here, let me go to that's relief pitchers. For starting pitchers, we did the star level. This is a star level distribution. Then we also wanted to look at stuff. So you have some above scale stuff pitchers, but mostly 65 and up. But then when you go to star level, it's 55 and up, and that the mean or median look to be shifting about five rating points each level. We haven't done the stuff one for relief pitchers yet, but on the star level, for starting pitchers, it went 5.0. Then it kind of goes down to like almost like 4.25, then down to 3, then to 2.5, to 1.5. But it's 1.5 with 11% at 2 at scrub level. But with the relief pitchers, Oh, I guess it is still the same, but it's they're nerfed just a little bit compared to the starters, but not nearly as much as I think we saw in OOTP 25. So that's good. That bodes well for taking relief pitchers in later rounds. You're still going to end up with a bunch of low rated pitchers, but you're not going to get the one star or half star pitchers that we saw in the previous cycle. And now let's look at stuff. I'm going to look at the stuff distribution. So our column is going to be the level again, which we numbered so they're in order. The columns are going to be the rows. Sorry, the rows are going to be stuff, and the values will be the count at each stuff level. Count. Wow, this is interesting. The bimodal nature is much more apparent here with the relievers. You have one group that's high stuff. Actually, it's centered around 80, and you have a bunch of off scale. This is more off scale, I think, that we saw with the starters. And you have another group centered around 50. Now, presumably, like these guys are going to have less control, maybe in home run suppression. These guys, if they're legend level with low stuff, I'm assuming they're really bringing it in terms of control or home run suppression or PBABIT. And then you see that the two modes kind of start to disappear, and then you have a single mode distribution here by good and average. But yeah, you're still getting some 80 stuff relief pitchers at the average level, which is surprising. Again, don't hard code like I'm doing. I'm going to hard code the 8,000. Yeah, it's a very small peak, but it's there nonetheless. So we have about a quarter of the pitchers are off scale, 85 stuff or higher for relievers. For the starting pitchers, we only had 6% above scale. Oh no, not even. 1.1% above scale versus a quarter of relievers being above scale. That's a huge difference. Wow, that is really interesting. So, from a stuff perspective, the relievers are really bringing it. What will be, I mean, the last thing we'll do tonight before we call it a night is we'll compare this to the closer data. But let's do relief pitcher control. That's the last thing we want to check here. Well, so the game doesn't require a spreadsheet. We're just using a spreadsheet to try to understand what it's giving us. You can play the game and be perfectly happy without the spreadsheets. This is just me being extra nerdy and really wanting to understand how the the OOTP26 player creation is different from OOTP25. But yeah, this is definitely not necessary to play the game or play it well. But I'm about to relaunch a community game, and I always do the first test run, and I kind of wanted to see what these things look like before doing that test run. Well, this is interesting. Control is definitely lower across the board. I mean, your mean or median, your median for legend level control is a 50, and it's the same for star, and it's the same for good. I mean, you basically have good level control at legend level. It's almost like there's a ceiling here at 55. And we did note that the rating seemed a little harsher this cycle. This is definitely showing that to be true. And again, what makes this extra nerdy is we think though that the lower ratings are still translating to good performance. We're not even getting into the performance tonight, so we're just getting into the ratings. If the ratings are muted but the performance is still good, this doesn't really tell us a ton. This becomes largely academic, but I still feel like we're uncovering some interesting stuff here that might be helpful. So yeah, Misho, in my stream we do 3 kinds of streams. The first are experiments. Usually the experiments are more fun, like where we have an experimental league where everyone's average, and then we change one thing on each team. Like we, boost power or boost contact or boost eye, or we nerf those things, and then we have them play and see, which attribute seems to be most important. Then we do theme simulations, like recently when Octavio Dotel died in that club ceiling collapse in the Dominican Republic. We did a team where all the pitchers were versions of Octavio Dotel. And we played that in the 2024 season. And then we have community games like the one we're testing for right now, where it's a channel point redemption, and everyone plays for spots on the leaderboard. And there are historical games that we play, and also created player games that we play. And so what we're doing tonight is to help with the player creation games. Yeah, this is really wild. There's like almost a cap on control. Those control god pitchers we used to see at legend level don't seem to exist. That is wild. I was not expecting this at all. Okay, so now let's do our closers. This is the last batch of relievers we generated. All right, so let's go generate some closers. Basically, the question here is, are the closers materially different from the relievers? And if so, how? All right, these are the legend level closers. Let's export this data. All right, I'm going to start switching the naming convention to start with closer. CL legend. And I know I'm doing this off screen, but you get the idea. Okay, so I've exported that so we can delete these guys. You know what? I do want to look, though. We noticed, like, there are those low stuff pictures that are still legends. So, oh my god, look at those 95 stuff guys. Okay, yeah, so these guys, instead, you have low stuff, but you get huge control or home run suppression. but there's only a few of those. Like there's a very low number, and we saw that in the percentages, right? These are like off speed, I guess maybe junk ballish pitchers, low stuff. You know what we should do? We should look at PBABIP. All these PBABIPs look very similar. Next time we'll do PBABIP. Yeah, there's 380 PBABIPs. And look how quickly we're one screen in and we're at 65. There are a lot of 65s though. Well, 60. Yeah, there's not a huge distribution here in PBABIP like there is in the other attributes. There's a very small top end, and most of them are 60 and 55, which is interesting. Okay, so we can delete these. These are the legend levels. We might have to do a separate PBABIP look next time. Okay, closers, star level, 8,000 of these. Yeah, reverse engineering the game is kind of what we do a lot of. Okay, so let's export these guys. Star level closers. Just kind of curious if we sort by stuff. Yeah, you still get a lot of 90s. No 95s, but... Alright, now we go to... good level. And oh, wait a second. I did something wrong here. Oh, I didn't name... Wait a second. Okay, I might have messed up here. Oh, wait, I did export. Okay. I did export this. Okay, no, I did not mess up. I had one file too many because I didn't realize that file had already exported. Okay, that's the good level. You can delete those. All right, next up, closer, average level. Yeah, definitely seeing a ton more different star levels here for starters. Okay, average level. You can delete these guys. Should probably look at stamina too. We can always do that pivot later now that we have the data. 8,000 bench level. Closers. Ooh, yeah. Huge drop off in the stars now. And the top stuff is 65. Wow. Okay, if there is an inflection point, it looks to be a bench level for the scrubs. But we'll know more when we do the pivot. Okay, and then our scrubs. And then we're done generating for tonight. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna shift the position players to the next stream. All right, 8,000 scrub level closers. And again, I'd just like to officially state my admiration that OOTP calls this level scrub in the game. I think that's awesome. Scrub level, 8,000 of those. Okay, got that. Okay, so we're done here. We can delete these guys out. Maybe I'll keep them up so we can look at the different profile shapes maybe. But yeah, look at those low control guys. But there's definitely a floor on stuff this cycle. That's interesting. Okay. So let me drag these into my Google Drive, so I can access them from Google Sheets. Okay, so now when I go into the Google Sheet, we should be able to access those. All right, so first, legend, closer legend. Import, closer legend data, there it is. Okay, and then let me create a closer data sheet. And we'll take the header from this one. We need headers at some point. So we'll just put them in we'll take them from the first group here. And I'll put a two columns in. Because the first column is the level, which is 1 legend. And we need the truncated overall rating. We'll use the left function for that again, which is this string, the first 3 characters. All right. So now you know what? I should just freeze to the first column. Or the first row, I mean. There we go. Okay. Add 1,000 more rows. Yes, please. Okay, so now we're going to create closer star. Import that data. Go. No, we don't import the header this time. Oops. That should still get it. Okay, this is to star. Copy those down. Add 1,000 more rows. Input closer good. Okay, we'll grab everything from the throwing hand over and down. Copy that. Paste that in. 3 good. numbers just so that the pivot table keep things in the right order. Okay, add more rows. And we're ready for the average level. Import CL average. There you go. Okay, throwing hand over, throwing hand down. Paste that in. All right, 2 more levels to go. Last pivot, and then we can give away the packs based on the guesses. Yeah, I was way too ambitious when I put all those position players. I should be wrapping up by now. And we're still not there. But this is information I wanted before I do our creator roster test, so I feel like it's still worth it. Closer bench level. Import that one. The good thing too is we'll have this stuff so that if there is ever another change that OOTP Developments makes to the player generation, like they did with the relief pitcher boost, we can see what the change does and then we can adjust accordingly. Before, we're just basically trying to eyeball it. Now we'll have data. I mean, the good thing is I think we did eyeball it actually pretty well, but we just got lucky, I think. Okay, add 1,000 more rows. All right, last one to import is scrub level closers. I'll import those. All right. Last batch of data, and then we can pivot this. Man, imagine if Ophi saw this. She always makes fun of our spreadsheet baseball, but this is literally spreadsheets all night tonight. Except for my perfect team draft. The perfect team drafts were not spreadsheet baseball, but everything else tonight, all spreadsheets all the time. Okay, let's pivot this and see what we get. First we'll pivot by stars. Oh, wait. There you go. I had the wrong data set highlighted. Okay. The star level distribution does not look like it's that different from the relievers. But I think stuff and control might be more revealing because I believe the star ratings are relative to the position. So if all the closers are better or worse, then it's just relative to a better or worse pool. Again, don't hard code numbers in like I did with the 8,000 here. Definitely not best practice. Okay, so 2/3 at legend level, 2/3 5-star, and then a quarter 4.5-star. That's for closers. For relief pitchers, it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar. Okay, relief pitcher scrub, 8713. For closers, that's 8020. Okay, so you have a little bit more at the 2.0 star versus the 1.5. So it looks like closers may be a touch better on the low end. I mean, let's look at scrub level. Basically 89.9. For relief pitchers, that's 7622. So yeah, the closers look like they're rating a little better. Maybe 5 to 10% better from a star perspective. Let's look at stuff. Again, we're seeing that bimodal distribution on stuff. I think we're seeing fewer off-scale stuff, though. I'm going to hold off until I see it as a percentage and then compare it to the relief pitcher percentage, but it does seem like it's a little lower. Okay, we have 18.7% off-scale stuff, 85 or higher. For closers. 18.7. Basically 19%. For relievers, it's almost 27%. So the stuff for relievers is higher, at least at the legend level. At the low end, at the scrub level, it's 41%, 40, 33%, 45. And for closers, yeah, closers, it dips down a little bit more to 35 stuff than it does for relievers. But that also means the closers must have, to be getting higher stars, they must be doing better at things like home run suppression and control. But we'll look at the control because we've been looking at that across the board. Sorry, let me label these sheets properly. Closer stars. Closer stars. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to run ads for a second. I need to refill my water and take a restroom break. And we've got ads coming in about 15 minutes anyway, so let me preempt those. We'll roll 3 minutes here real quickly. Alright, see y'all in a few minutes. I'll put the BRB up. Yeah, sorry. I was on mute. Don't tell Max LP80 I was on mute for a while. I'm jumping in here to do the control pivot table. I was just noting that, we do have what again appears to be a bit of a peak here, or like a cap on control at 55, 60. But we are seeing a group here with 80, 75 control. And so let's see how that compares to the relief pitcher side. Yes, Rev Jr., thank you for that. It's not just Laptop Hound who inadvertently mutes himself. Sorry, that's my dog coughing in the background. I usually try to mute when I'm going to cough, but I have no idea when my dog's going to cough. So far you've heard him whimpering in his sleep. You've heard him coughing in his sleep. If you're lucky, you might get to hear him rip one in his sleep. Although, actually, I don't know that I've ever heard him fart. I know I've smelled him fart, but... Okay, so again, 27.6%. Interestingly, a little more control here at the star level. I'm assuming that comes from lower stuff, higher control PBABIT profiles. But let's see if the relievers of the starters had this basically 4.5% group of pitcher with 75-80 control. So it's about 4.3% for closers at 75 and above. For relievers, it's about 3.5%, but they did have that group as well. And then for starters, 4.6, but they have more 80s control pitchers. But you notice the starting pitcher ceiling on control is much higher. It's in the 65 range. But the relief pitcher control definitely capped around 50, 55. Dropping to 50 for good level. Yeah, similar cap, but it doesn't drop as much for good level for the closers. But the closers don't have the same stuff that the relievers do. So there's a bit of a trade-off, and it's not the trade-off I would have expected. I would have thought the closers would have the top-end stuff maybe in exchange for the control, but it's actually the relievers that are having a little more top-end stuff and a little less control. But anyway, I don't think either group is blowing me away as being like superior to the other. And then last thing is, let's look at the left-right mix for closers. We did note that there were 1/3 of the relievers were lefties versus about 1/4 of the starters. That could be important as people think about their left-right strategy for putting their bullpens together. So let's do another pivot. Oh my goodness, look at this. That is interesting. Let me go grab the percentage calculation here from the relief pitchers. And we'll just paste it into here for the closers. Okay, so This is a big difference. Relievers, about a third left-handed. Starters, about a quarter left-handed. Closers, less than 15% left-handed. That is really interesting. Okay, this will have implications on roster building for sure. Not much difference across the levels, but definitely a difference between pitcher types. All right, let's see if we can give away some packs now. Do we have enough information to give away the packs? Again, we're going to ignore the position player stuff tonight. That was my bad. I definitely was overly ambitious on what I thought we could do tonight. All right, let me generate the spreadsheet here of our guesses, and I'm just resizing stuff right now before putting it on the screen. Yes, within the position, Kayakin-san, I agree. It doesn't seem to be a difference between levels, but the positions between positions, though, a huge difference in lefty percentage. Okay, again, we're going, the first few are, or the first handful are going to be Survivor style. Good luck, everybody. We have 7 contestants tonight. Okay, we're going to skip all these position player things because we didn't do those tonight. I do think they're interesting questions, though, so I'm going to use them next time. So we'll squish those down. We don't need those right now. Power, that's another position player. Okay, here we go. All right, will any of the legend level starting pitchers have a star rating of 3 or lower? So that one, we can just go to the star level distribution. I will show you that again. Let's see, starting pitcher. Yes, there were 4. 0.1%, but they did exist. So will any of the 8,000 legend level starting pitchers have a star rating of 3 or lower? Yes. Kitty Poo Poo, Late to Hate, Flying WV, and Clay Dog all survived that question. Will any have a scrub level have a star rating of 2 or higher? Scrub level, yeah, actually 11.6% did. This is a big change, I think, from OOTP25. So for those of you who guessed this, that's a really good guess. Kitty Poo Poo, Late to Hate, and Clay Dog still in it. Will there be more 5.0 legend level closers or relief pitchers? Okay, let's see. Relief pitchers. $54.33. Closers. $53.27. So slightly more relief pitchers. But everyone guessed closer. The 3 remaining contestants all guessed closer. Kayaking-san and Rev Jr. would have gotten that one right if they had still been in the mix. As it stands, Kitty Poo Poo, Late to Hate, and Clay Dog all still advance. Okay, now we go to 4-star or higher. I'm going to have to do some math here. All right, so for the closers, It is... Wait, this is this oh, star level, sorry. Star level. 7410. Now the number is actually similar to legend level, but the mix is very different, right? It's a lot more 4.5 and 5-star. So 7410 for the closers. Wait, is that right? Which one am I in right now? Yeah, closers. 7410 for the closers. For the relievers, $72.59. So closers have more 4-star or higher. Kitty Poopa and Late Tape both guess relief pitcher. Clay Dog is the only one who guessed closer. So Clay Dog is going to win first place. And then will there be more 1.5 star or higher scrub level closers or relief pitchers? 1.5 or higher. Well, everyone's 1.5 or higher. That's a big difference. So for relief pitchers and let's see, for closers. Yeah, everyone is one. I mean, think of how many half-star pitchers we saw at star level in OOTP25. Those are all gone. So this is a push. We're not going to... I mean, you both put closer anyway, so it's fine. This is a position level question, which batter position thing, which we didn't get to. So now... Okay, so Kitty Poop and Late Tate, whoever gets the most of these right is going to take second place. So let's just squish all these down now. We'll keep these squished because we're not... Oh, I can't do it. Okay. All these we can squish down. Okay, these will resize so I can... I'll put this on screen in a second. I'm just resizing some stuff here. Okay. This should be good. Okay. We're now in the... All right. What percentage of legend level starting pitchers will throw left-handed? It was 27.6%. So Late to Hate, closer there. What percentage of good level starting pitchers will throw left-handed? Okay, we saw very little difference by level. So this is 28%. So Kitty Poo Poo brought the guess down, but Late Tate's still closer. Oops, what is that? I didn't mean to do that. Okay, star level closers will throw left-handed. Now the closers, that percentage came way down. It was, for star, 14.7%. All right, Kitty Poo Poo dropped down to 25%. Gets closer than Late Tate on that one. Kitty Poo Poo back in the mix here. What percentage of star level relief pitchers? Now, for relief pitchers, it did go back up, but it went into the 30s, I think. Star level relievers, 32.9%. So Late to Hate closer there. Okay, what's this one? We didn't do center fielder, so we're going to skip that one. Shortstops we didn't do. Center fielder we didn't do. Right fielder we didn't do. We're going to save those for next time. I think the next one we'll do infielders, and then we'll have to do a separate stream for outfielders. Okay, what percentage of legend level starting pitchers will have stuff of 70 or higher? Legend level starting pitchers 70 or higher. That's the sum of these. 48 point. Oh wow, almost half have stuff 70 or higher. 48.7. So Kitty Poo Poo, 50%, right there. So 3 correct answers for Late Tate, 2 so far for Kitty Poo Poo. What percentage starting pitchers will have stuff of 50 or lower? So these are low stuff pitchers. So this is 50 or lower. Oops. Ooh, it's a pretty small number. Wait, did I say legend or... Yeah, I think I said legend, right? Yeah, legend level starting pitcher have stuff of 50 or lower. 5.1%. Kitty Poopa with the 15%. Got that one closest. It is now 3-3. We have 2 questions left. Alright, let's see. The next question is... Legend level starting pitchers with control of 70 or higher. $70 or higher. Ooh, it's pretty small. 10.4%. Even though their ceiling is higher than the relief pitchers or closers, there are just not many with 70 control or better in OOTP26. So 10.4%. Oh, Kitty Poo Poo gets that almost exactly right. 10%. All right, now Late Take can force a tie here on the last one. What legend starting pitchers, what percentage? Wait, how's that different from... Oh, 70 or higher. This is now 50 or higher. All right, 50 or higher. Hold on, it's off the screen, isn't it? All right, now you should be able to see it. 50 or higher. 95.1%. Late to hate ties it up. All right, if we're tied at the end, which we are, we're going to split the packs, 5 each. So tie, 5 packs. Tie, 5 packs. All right. Oh, no, wait. Look, Clay Dog won 7 packs, so you're going to split 3 packs. I forgot that. Clay Dog is in first place. All right, I will ask Nicolino to give me 3 extra packs tonight. So you'll each get your 3 packs. I forgot about Clay Dog winning first place. All right. Well, that was fun. The tiebreak was fun. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a ton about these distributions from the player creation engine. I'm looking forward to doing the position ones now too, because we have some long-standing questions. For example, is shortstop more likely to have second base as a secondary position, or is second base more likely to have shortstop as a secondary position? 1.5 packs each. I know. I thought about going to two each, but then I still have to ask Nicolino for an extra pack, so I might as well ask for three extra packs. Plus, everyone was a good sport about me dropping the position players because it's already 1:45 a.m. We would be pulling an all-nighter, I think, to do all the positions that I wanted to do. So lesson learned for me too. These runs take a little longer to do and to analyze than I thought. But I think the big takeaways are really interesting difference in the percentage of left-handed pitchers between closers, relief pitchers, and starters. There's a different control ceiling for each type of pitcher, with a higher ceiling for control for the starters. And just in general, all the really bad pitchers have been removed from the player creation engine. We're just not getting those 1-star and lower pitchers, which I think is great in general, is going to completely change low ball.
Why do you keep following me around?
I don't know that anyone's going to be able to get down to 21 wins without those really bad pitchers that we used to count on. Moments Pace, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Which is fine, right? Like, that's why we're starting a new leaderboard for OOTP26. I just didn't anticipate it would be so different. But it's pretty different. It's pretty different. So I'm glad we did this. It's a chance to kind of calibrate heading into creator roster season. And I think those of us who are around for this testing will have a bit of an edge over those maybe who don't. All right. Let's see. Let's find someone to raid into. Some of my usuals are on streaming tonight. None of well, let's see. I don't think anyone's streaming OTP right now. Let's check that first. Or at least none of the people that I know to raid into. Yeah, definitely no affiliates. Oh, Tommy All I Do Is Win is streaming. We've raided into him before. Let me make sure they're still streaming. You know, I'm kind of torn on that Kayaking Santa because I kind of feel like, what's the point of streaming then if I'm just going to put it in Discord? I kind of feel like people should watch the VODs because the VODs are available. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. Let me see. I'm not hearing it. Is Tommy All I Do Is Win? Is he, I think he's actually streaming it. Is he not on mic? Oh yeah, no, he's on mic. Okay, he's just not saying anything. He said something for a second there. All right, we're gonna raid into Tommy. All I Do Is Win. He's playing OOTP26. We've raided into him before too, so I'll probably hang under there for a little while I do some drafts. What I might do, Kaki Santa, maybe I'll cut some highlights. Although it's not hard to know to go to the end of the VOD, I guess. the results aren't going to be in the first 10 minutes. But yeah, I do want to kind of um, give a bit of an advantage to people who actually like were here for it, like you and Flying WV and Rab Jr. and stuff. Um, yeah, good night, every good night, Kaiku Santa. We're gonna raid into Tommy. All I do is win. He's playing OOTP26 at this ungodly hour, so let's go say hi. I will be back on again Sunday night, 10 p.m. Pacific time. I did think about taking the night off because it's gonna be Easter, but by then my kids are gonna be asleep, and it'll be, for me it'll be almost like any other night by then. So I will probably be messing around in OTP, so I might as well get on stream. So 10 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you then. Especially if like a lot of streamers aren't on because of Easter, you might need your drops. So I'll be around for you. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Oh, and Ripley, thank you for the raid. Ripley the Oriole, thank you for the raid. Big raid early on tonight.